friends, family, countrymen, welcome back. As we say, yet again, another week. Chris, another day, another dollar.
Another day, another dollar, Mike.
How are you feeling over there with your kidney stone? Is there a kidney stone update?
We don't know yet.
Okay.
No, but thank you for asking.
Yeah,
we are.
of course.
We're going to find out some more tomorrow.
Is there like a kidney stone test? Is there some doctor that can just pulverize a kidney stone
that
out of your
just
body?
specializes in it?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe. I don't know them. Haven't met them yet, but we'll figure it out.
It sounds like a pleasant process.
Yeah, could be a kidney stone. Could be what I've learned, a floating rib. It really sounds like kind of a hippie barbecue place. But
like a floating rib, like from Chili's?
Yeah, like you want to sing it, don't you? You want to sing it. We can sing it together.
No. We'll just avoid that. So sure? you might have a floating rib.
I might have a floating rib that's causing some issues. So apparently it's a rib that you do have. All of us have them. You have one now.
So do you put a floating rib back?
No, maybe it's just needing a little bit of adjustment.
Like a punch, a good swift punch.
A good rabbit punch to the back, and you're good. Yeah, and I think there's a doctor that can do that for pretty cheap. But yeah.
Oh.
But enough rib talk. How was your week? How are you feeling?
I've been feeling good. Good day so far. It's a nice 109 degrees here in Texas.
Yeah,
That's how it felt like earlier. So a little hot here in the southern state. What do they call it? The Lone Star State?
We are in the Lone Star State.
I got a lot of feedback that surmise is not a word.
How are you feeling about that?
I'm feeling more firm that I don't know a lot of words in my life.
Well, I was planning on helping you out, and why not do it here in front of all of our friends here?
Is there another word I'm not saying correctly?
There's another word that I think.
Are you serious?
I have to really ask.
Are you about to make me go into depression? There's another word I'm saying.
There might be another
now?
word, but I'm here to help. We're all not quite there.
What's the word? Don't work that in there. What's the word?
Are you meaning to say formative versus formidable?
I haven't said formidable around. I've never even said this word.
I don't know.
I have never said this word in front of you in our entire life.
Formidable years?
Formidable?
Formidable.
Isn't it formidable years? Formidable.
I'm thinking it's formative.
Formative.
When's
years. The last time I said formidable?
Last episode.
No, I did not.
Yeah.
In the same episode? I did not say in the same episode. Are you serious?
I'm serious. I'm just trying to help a brother out.
Well, okay, hold on. For real.
But I really wanted to know what you meant, because there can be formidable years.
Did I say in my formidable years?
Yes, like it was just all formidable. Like your terrible years.
So we don't have to make this about the episode. Formidable is legitimately not a word.
It is a word.
Oh, I said formidable, probably.
I'm wondering if you meant formative.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, you know what? Thank you for telling me as a friend.
I'm sure we'll go back and look. Everybody to tears.
We'll go back. We'll go back and look. Everyone says wrong words all the time.
I'm going to say one.
You know, speaking of people who say the wrong words all the time, I think that's a great segue to talk about having a guest today.
We have a guest.
We finally have a guest in the studio. Should we introduce him? Do you think he is
you're feeling strong, my friend?
He's feeling strong.
I think he has gotten up at 4:30 this morning, worked out.
That's right.
And, probably had a shower that didn't take, and is ready to just lay it on us here.
Tell you what, it is someone who gets up at 4:30. He has a hitchhiker's thumb. He does not eat desserts. He has a massive fear of birds. And he has a wonderful Betty White impersonation from Golden Girls. The LifeGroup Minister at 121, Jordan Hill, everyone is here. Come on into the studio.
What's up, guys?
Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome. First
the Hitchhiker stuff.
Here.
How did... that was some deep research right there.
We do our research here.
Absolutely. I've got two thumbs that look like I got angry at a stamp.
He's showing us the right now.
That's
what
I'm saying. It's like I got a fight with a stamp, and it just
to the listener, he just showed us something. I think they're thumbs. They're pointing backwards.
It's like a badly written question mark.
Diametrically opposed there.
So a hitchhiker kind of points the whole hand. Your thumb, you don't even have to move your hand.
It's more like a U-turn thumb.
It's pointing backwards. I've never seen that.
I know, but thank you for having me. For real, big fan of the pod. I will say that. Subscribe if you're listening right now and you haven't subscried. You need to subscribe.
Oh, we did not pay him to say that,
but I'm a fan. So thanks for having me.
I've got a little bit of cash. I can thanks for coming.
Toss his way.
It's appreciating your formidable years. You showing
that was
up
great.
For us. Yeah,
I guess you've been like in Mortal Kombat growing up, like a formidable opponent. You went that way.
Get over here. here.
Exactly. I also love. Then I didn't know it was called a floating rib, and then we went Chili's too.
Yeah.
So
we covered a lot of ground before you even started. So that's what
I heard
happens.
a little bit of it. So
if you go to Chili's, this is really for all of us. What's your idea of a go-to at Chili's?
Okay, you know my Chili's theory.
Well, the people,
okay.
Jordan.
I'm going to change. Chris, I don't think you know it.
You're going to go down that rabbit hole.
We're going down that rabbit hole. 100%.
Okay.
I have a theory that you can judge any restaurant off of Chili's. I think Chili's is the perfect middle ground for quality and price. So, for example,
let's use an example.
I think BJ's restaurant is Chili's quality food, but higher priced. So when you're there, it's like, I could have just gone to Chili's.
Yeah.
I think you can judge any restaurant, and you're welcome, America. That's the barometer for
Chili's
every restaurant.
Is the common denominator. So
it's like if it's a scale of 1 to 10, it's the 5.
It's the perfect 5.
The perfect 5.
That's what I'm saying. It is. You leave and you're like, I had food. It wasn't horrible.
No.
It's not going to knock your socks off.
It was food.
That's what. The price. You're not
was
disappointed leaving.
Average.
You're right. That's what I'm saying. You're
average.
not leaving like, man, I made a mistake. You're just leaving like, we had dinner. tonight.
Sometimes I feel like I made a mistake depending on what I ate.
Sure.
At Chili's.
And then having worked at Chili's back in the day.
Oh dear. Maybe you should. Don't tell us.
I'm not going to go there, but it is food.
Wow.
And I'm just wondering, has anybody ever looked at the price and said, oh, that's way too much?
There's always going to be some haters out there. It is right in the average. I'll give you that. I'll give you the Chili's.
It's the average. I'm not saying
I can tell you really put a lot of thought into this.
A lot.
Does your wife know about the Chili's? Like, do you bring up Chili's at home and she's like, here we go?
I did, and then I got shut down real quick because we talked about it enough.
I'm sure at nauseam.
If you're feeding a family of 4, Chili's is a great spot, right?
It is. Yes, some would call it the average place. So with every guest that we have, because we have a long-standing history with guests,
absolutely,
as you know, as a subscriber, I appreciate you that. We always want to start off guests with some questions.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Just some questions. I think Chris has some prepared questions we have for you.
I do.
As our guest.
I'm excited
you should
about
kick
these
us off.
Because, Jordan, we know that you're a baseball guy, right? You have a little tie back to playing some college baseball. And what we'd like to know is, if you were going to home plate in a major league game, what would your baseball walk-up song be?
Big moment.
This is good.
Don't stress over just number one. Just pick a top one.
I think. All right. So when I was in college, I went the Chris Tomlin "Our God" route. That was my song.
Yeah.
If I was in the big leagues,
Creed. Creed probably. Nickelback.
That would get everybody going.
Yeah.
I think people, if you're going up there, you need to think about the songs that get the people going.
Yeah. Okay. You need some beat.
Like if I go back, obviously I'm very thankful. Like I wanted to tell everybody, hey, I'm a believer and this is why I'm doing it. But I probably would have done some stuff like maybe what's the Rick Roll song? Never Gonna Give You.
Never Gonna.
Oh, that song.
That one. Maybe that.
That's your walk-up song.
I'm just saying, like that's the kind of stuff you got to think about of like getting the crowd.
Me.
Going.
Okay.
I think people would look forward to that when he comes up to the plate.
That's my point.
Isn't that the 80s? Is everyone looking forward? Okay. Really bad confession.
So.
We're going to have a really bad confession
actually
right now.
I will say this. Side note.
Yeah.
If it would be way out there. But have you ever heard Tom Jones' Delilah?
Why don't you give us a little rendition?
Incredible.
Give us a little rendition.
I can't.
Come on. What are you doing?
It'd be too bad for
maybe in the show notes.
It's so good. You can plug it in there.
Maybe in the show notes.
A little Tom Jones Delilah.
Just a guy singing about Delilah.
The story is pretty intense when you actually like read the lyrics. I think it's about a guy who.
A walk-up song really gives you enough time to
get into the backstory. It's like doing art. It's like
everyone, just take a moment here. I want you to think about Delilah.
Because I'm pretty sure the song. Okay. I'm pretty sure the song's about how Delilah left him, and so he went mad, and then
this is quite the crowd pleaser.
Exactly.
You're really,
but it goes.
It
goes.
Sure it does.
It is awesome.
This is going to be excitement and depression of the baseball game. Okay, so Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, or Harry Potter?
Okay, question. Does Lord of the Rings include The Hobbit?
We'll say yes.
I was going to say no. We'll say yes.
I'm being generous.
Co-host Chris is being generous. Yes.
Okay. I'd say Lord of the Rings then.
Okay.
And then
Nice.
you didn't ask me this, but I'm going to jump in.
Oh, sure.
That's kind of typically what I do.
Yeah. You're the host.
I'm going to then say Harry Potter, and then I'll say Star Wars.
I kind of like that order.
That's me.
You can go to the next one.
Yeah, sure. What was your first job?
First job.
No, tell me. What was your first gig?
My first gig.
First gig.
First gig.
Real paycheck.
Oh, real paycheck.
Yeah, first job. You can't be
Coaching-
like I mowed a lawn when I was 5 years
No,
old.
no,
That's
no,
not
no,
that
no,
doesn't
no.
count.
It-
Get out of here.
So
Little
it was.
W2 action.
I used to coach. It was when I was coaching. Probably was right out of the gate. I mean, I coached like summer baseball. I don't think I filled out a W-2 on that one. But I didn't even get paid
this
for it.
is
Really, I really
illegal.
didn't.
And it felt like a job. It was.
I didn't get paid that way. It probably was my first real
Did you
job.
get paid under the table? Was it cash under the table?
I don't even know if I
Legal
got paid.
situation. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, I did.
Maybe turn the mic off, Mike.
Yeah, exactly. Listen, it was like $25. So I mean, come after me.
Oh, sure. It didn't meet the
So
threshold.
So
then,
coaching.
It was coaching. Yeah, so
Okay.
it was coaching.
Okay.
So I coached right after I was done with college. And while I was in college, that was kind of my career. That was like how that paid for school. And so that was kind of
Yeah.
always I was thankful my parents said, all right, if you want to go for this, you're going to treat this like a job. So I didn't have to get a
Yeah.
job. And
Yeah.
I really did treat it that way.
Which is awesome.
And then when I got done with college, it was playing. I just went right into collegiate coaching, and that was my first real job.
That would be exciting.
That's
Straight
awesome.
into collegiate
Mhm.
coaching. And then you pretty good program as well too.
It
So
was fun.
Couple more. Do you speak any other languages?
I know several words in Spanish.
Like
so I don't
hola.
speak it. Oh, yeah, I know
Okay, so donde está Maria?
that. No sé.
Okay.
So, yeah, speak
There's
some
no
Spanish.
Maria S. in Biblioteca?
You
That's where
said, where
Maria
is she?
is.
I don't know. That's what I said.
Maria's always in the library.
Not always.
She's always in the library.
I mean,
She never leaves.
she is.
If you
she's
ever
a
say
studier.
donde está Maria,
She-
Maria es en biblioteca.
She is a studier.
¿Y tú?
Yo tengo un regalo para su familia.
Sí.
You do. You do have a gift for my family.
I know, right? Great.
Yeah.
I also
I love it.
only have about 7 or 8 words of Spanish,
Mhm.
so I can relate to you on that. Last one before we get to the main course, led by co-host Chris. Go ahead and throw that last one down there.
What's a place you've been to that you just absolutely fell in love with?
Place I've been to that I fell in love with.
Maybe on the map somewhere. Maybe
That's a great
not
question.
Chili's or something like that.
No,
or,
no,
you
no,
know,
no, no.
Yeah.
My family, we've gone to Florida forever. Ever since I was little. Like kind of we like really were some of the early ones down in the seaside area.
Very nice.
So it's kind of neat to actually see. It's been wild to see it kind of grow.
Like you pioneered Florida as a family?
No, I think that. Well, yeah, we were just after Ponce de Leon and all those guys down there.
Time machine we were talking about
exactly,
last episode.
exactly.
there we go.
This
Um,
is impressive.
But yeah, we were. I was probably going down to that area. That's when I was like 8, so I love that area.
It's cool.
Yeah,
It's grown just a bit. Just a bit. It's grown.
that's right.
Yeah.
It's crazy now.
That's awesome.
Well, I think that's all the appetizer questions that we have from all the
So
cheese
why don't you
sticks
tell-
from Chili's.
Why don't you tell? Sorry, I just cut over your chili. I didn't know you were going there.
We had a
Sorry.
theme going there, Mike.
I know. I apologize.
We
I was
had
very
a
rude.
theme.
I confess. I'm very sorry. So we know who you are. You know, we're good friends with you, but not everyone knows who Jordan Hill is. I was reading here online. I saw you were an American politician. This is on Wikipedia, who served as a member of the West Virginia House of Delegates for the 41st District of 2014 to 2020.
Oh yeah,
So that was impressive.
Thank
There
you.
are
Thank
a lot of Jordan Hills out there.
There are.
So that may or may not be who you are.
Fun fact: there's a Jordan Hill who was got drafted. He was a basketball player. Got taken by the Knicks. I think he might have been like out of Arizona. But like every year when there's like some of the top draft busts, Jordan Hill gets mentioned on there. And I'm sure he was actually a solid player. But every year consistently on Twitter now X, when those lists come out, I always get a, hey, Jordan Hill you're the worst, or like, you're terrible every year since he's been done. And so
that's unfortunate.
That's
Mike,
always
mark
very,
that, please.
it's always very fun. Or just to see like
Let's
the
find
top,
some clips.
or just to see on ESPN like some of the top draft butts of all time, and you see Jordan Hill.
Oh, do you ever respond to those people?
Yeah, I think one time I said, "Hey, look, I've made a pretty good comeback in my life." Like, so yeah,
that's awesome.
It's not over yet.
Tell us a little bit about what do you do?
Yeah. So I'm at 121 Community Church. That's where I've got to know these guys at.
That's us, by the way. He was pointing at us.
That's right.
I don't know, Chris.
Nobody else is in here.
Yeah, I was just letting you know.
I am our men's and LifeGroup minister. So my role specifically is to help create community, and we call them adult small groups, so we call life groups. And I try to focus primarily on men's discipleship, and then how do I also help mixed groups that are husband and wife, but help them come along the husband to try to lead out in that area. So that's my main role, and I've been in this role since 2000. Let's see, I came on staff in 2018.
Okay.
Before that, I was a college baseball coach, so I was at Dallas Baptist where I was coaching baseball there, and then before that, I was at the University of Central Arkansas where I was coaching. So when the collegiate coaching route, and then from there, kind of almost went into. It really has felt like almost like a coaching ministry. There's a lot of coaching in it as well. So I've just kind of stayed with it.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So we're glad to have you here at 121, Jordan. And, we've seen the work and the effort that you put in, but also the care that you put in for the people that you do. You're a coach here, and you are a minister, and you combine those two, and we just get the benefits of that. So thank you for filling that role. One of the things that Mike and I talked about when bringing this podcast online was, okay, well, what's going to be about? And I'm sure it can take on different variations and such, but one of the things that we wanted to really nail down was, when it comes to men, at least, things that men struggle with, we want to speak to, and we want to walk through that together. And so we identified identity as one of those, not really knowing what it means to be a man these days. And, there being different messages on that of how we should be, purity, purpose, time, and then having authentic friendships or having, true community. So I imagine in your role, you get to see that front and center. If you had to take those and put them in some sort of order of which you're helping people work through things, how would you prioritize those? What's getting the most of your time when it comes to men?
So kind of thinking about identity, purity, purpose, time, and community.
That's a great question. And it's one of the reasons why actually I love this podcast, and I love y'all's heart behind trying to just connect other men and help men kind of see that, look, we're all equal at the foot of the cross, and we all are being made into the image of God. And so we are not quite there. But God's got us down a path to get there. I think with those, it's hard to even put one above the other as far as like the amount of time that I'm not handling one more than the other. And I think a lot of those actually build off each other. So for example, like I think if your identity is strong, then you really do from there know your purpose. And then from there, you're going to not get too strayed on things that would kind of rob you of your purity, because that goes against your purpose and your identity. And then from there, that just reorients your time as well. I'm running into all those things. It's interesting when I was thinking about just even identity itself. Like what you said there, Chris, there's so many things out there, and there's a lot of people that are really growing platforms as far as like, this is what a man is. And that's been happening for a while, but I feel like it's really ramped up here recently. And I wonder too, if that's absolutely a discipleship issue. That's a thing that I think dads can really affect. I have been very surprised. I'm very fortunate enough I've had a great father in my life who's still in my life. Is he perfect? No, but he's done a great job. So I don't have too many father wounds. There's a ton of dad wounds out there, and it really does affect a lot of different ways. And I was thinking about this, we don't do things like, there used to be this is your time, like your men ceremony, like your men ritual. You're now a man. And we don't really do that anymore. We especially don't do that here in the West. And so people are just really starving for like, what does it mean to actually be a man? And there's a lot of content that's getting put out there that says, oh, it looks like this. And I'm just trying to come in and say, hey, I think what a man is looks exactly like Jesus. And so let's just try to follow his model.
Yeah.
And then from there, he addresses all those different things.
What are some examples that you've seen like that that are different definitions of being a man like lately?
Yeah, I think you're getting one now in particular. There's kind of growing, and I think it's a backlash in this sort of kind of not to take it there, but like there was for a season, I think we really wanted to propel and kind of prop up women as we should. They're gifts of the Lord.
Yeah.
But I think there's been a backlash where guys are saying, no, men are aggressive, men are strong, and it's about getting out there, going to grind, forget everybody else, be a lone wolf, get out there. And that's kind of a mentality that's happening now, especially in young guys. And I think that's just a lie. I think that's setting them up. I had a conversation with a guy here recently. And I just know this from experience. Like anger can be a great motivator to start, but it'll kill you in the end. And there's kind of that just mentality of like, if I've got enemies in the world. Like, we're having that conversation. He's like, I'm just trying to get out there and prove people wrong. And finally, I just got to the place where I was like, who are you talking to? You know what I mean? Like, who is out there that's saying you're not going to succeed? And in reality, no one is. It's just his own internal struggles. But that goes back to his identity, where he thinks I'm only valuable with what I do and not who I am as a son. You see in Mark, like the beginning of Mark, Jesus gets baptized. Holy Spirit descends on him like a dove. And God says, this is my son in whom I'm well pleased. Before he ever started any of his public ministry, he starts his public ministry after that. God was pleased with him because he was his son. And I think more and more, if we can find that the God of the universe is just pleased with us because we're his sons, that just gives me, it's what y'all talked about last episode. There's a peace that I have, a calmness. Now, of course, we are aggressive. Boys, men, we are aggressive. That's how God designed us to be. But we're supposed to be self-controlled. So, and I think guys are struggling also in that mindset of just self-control.
So you're almost saying that's like, great. That anger that could fuel you from the beginning, not the sinful anger, but a little bit of that energy or adrenaline we have, or that aggressiveness, like in a maybe determination or something like that. But then we swing the pendulum, like you're saying, where I'm going to go prove some more. I'm going to go punch someone in the face. And it's like, whoa.
Right.
Like, let's not lose that kind of control.
Last year for our men's retreat, we looked at the life of David. Actually, Chris helped write some curriculum on it. If you kind of look at the life of David, he almost has these 4 big movements of a man. He starts off and he's like a lover. He's just a young person who's just he's just a dreamer, really.
Yeah.
But then he's also, you see, he's a warrior. He's a warrior king. And I feel like all these guys move through these different things. And God has designed us to cultivate, to go after it, to dream about things, and then try to go chase it and accomplish it. But if we don't do it in a healthy manner, it'll end up destroying us, and we'll eventually be horrible leaders, and we'll leave a real wake of destruction behind us.
Yeah, true. And a lot of the times when we're focusing on that and what we don't have, or those enemies that are perceived or not, that tends to just put the focus back on us, and we're trying to build ourselves up, and it's not necessarily about building up God's name and his greatness, but so channeled the wrong way. So
it's funny, I was just talking about like kind of a similar thing with my life group this morning about doing versus being. And it's a weird balance because, for example, we want to spend time with God, and from there, so that is an act of doing, but I do it from a place of sincere heart, that then he loves me, he accepts me. Does he love me because I'm checking the box? No, in fact, he doesn't want us to check the box. But there's a fine balance of making sure we're staying disciplined to connect with the Lord. But then also, I'm not doing it just to. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
it does. It's a fine balance, and we kind of came to this conclusion. I think the only way to truly find that perfect balance is actually to put yourself in some community where they can really see the fruit in that, and they can see, are you just increasing in, for example, your joy? Are you increasing in just like, can I visibly see like that, Mike? I can just tell you're just more peaceful. And if you're just checking off the box, like you might be spending time with the Lord, but it's not sinking home. And so then Chris and I would be able to see that and can call that out in you.
We've talked about that with our kids a lot, where they will go spend time with Jesus, but then sometimes come back, 2 minutes later, and they'll be like, done. It's like, okay, no. Jesus is not a box to check, which I feel like is a good analogy. Is like anytime we go into time with the Lord, are we treating it like a box to check, or is it actually cultivating a real relationship? And then since they're obviously in our family, we do see the fruit or the good fruit or bad fruit, either way out of it. Where do you think that's a big struggle for men today, is they're not actually being, even if they are spending time with Jesus, it's more treating it from a doing standpoint, like a task.
Absolutely. And I think you can only do that for so long until you just say, forget this, I'm not doing it.
Yeah, because it's empty. It's going to be empty. It's not going to be fulfilling.
It. Right. Yeah. You're going to only be able to, there's only a special amount of people who can just white knuckle grit and bare your teeth for that long until eventually you just go, no, forget this, I'm not doing it anymore. And I also think men are buying into, I fall into this trap all the time, that you can literally do it all, that you can wake up, that you can answer every email before you start to the day and work out and also have the side thing, and then also go play 4 rounds of golf and also be the best golfer out there, and also be some day trader and just understand every aspect of stocks, while also being a phenomenal chef and cook, while also being an expert in cars and having the perfect lawn. And I just think,
so wait, you
anybody tired?
You can't.
That's what.
Are you saying that you don't do those things? I mean, I kind of feel like that's Chris's experience. Is that not what you? Is that?
That was so formidable. Finish him.
It's I think it's. I think guys.
I can see that.
Saying,
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Okay, here's my block of time. I'm going to get this and move on, because, and then we don't actually say no. I'm going to actually say no to this thing, so I can spend more time with the Lord. It's like I've been doing this thing here recently. I got asked to kind of be a part of this group, and we're going to really stretch ourselves with spiritual disciplines. So part of that was giving up one thing for like a 30-day period. So I've been fasting several different things, and I didn't realize like how many things kind of got their hooks in me. But like one of these, so this last month I fasted one of my favorite sports podcasts. And it's been, I've just kind of noticed this thing of like, okay, you know what? I'm not up to date on like the current sports thing, and that's okay.
Was it okay at first?
No, and that's what I'm saying. That's the point. It wasn't. Or I realized like, oh, I've kind of fallen into that trap a bit. And you know what? I've got to say no to whatever ancillary thing this is. That might also be great. So that I can actually focus on doing the more important things. It's kind of what you're talking about, Chris, with time. I think we're buying into this thing that says you can be an expert in everything. And the most successful people that I've seen, not just following after the Lord, but also like just in general in the coaching world, in the business world, it's like they're like experts in this one thing, and they just repeatedly do that thing over and over and over again. And then they just take off. But I think we kind of sometimes in today's world, because everything's important, everything is breaking news, everything is the most, that you have to do this, you know?
Shiny object.
We just get chasing. And the next thing you know, it's like, have I done anything? I've just been spinning around. And I don't even know if I've grown at all, because I'm just super familiar with like 40 different things.
Like a quantity over quality kind of a thing. There's basically no quality at the end of the day.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah, knowing that that's what we face out there as men, in 121, and in your role, you put out a lot of great resources and look to help as much as possible. So not really a question about what resources are out there to help men, But what resources are available that you find men are not using?
Mm-hmm. So I think guys aren't spending enough time in the Word where they're soaking in God's Word and they're having the Holy Spirit speak to them, and they're trying to go to all these different commentaries and resources, and we should. Those are good. But I think we need to treat them almost like they're a supplement. And here's the thing with like a supplement. If you take it for too long, your body ends up, it stops producing that thing. So you're then now dependent upon it.
Yep.
And I actually think that happens in our spiritual life. I think there's plenty of people who are like, what does Francis Chan say on this verse? What does John Piper say on this verse? And now we're just repeating what they're saying instead of going, wait, what's God trying to speak to me in John 15 here? I had a guy one of the first guys who discipled me, he was just relentless in like, I would try to I loved God's Word growing up, but I liked the fact that I could use it almost like theological chess and get people in arguments. And I had this guy, Joey, who was just relentless, was saying like, hey, what do you feel like God's telling you? And it would just like put me back on my heels. And I'd be like, well, no. So if you understand what I think the meaning of this is, he's like, no, that's great. But like, what do you think God wants you to do with that? And he was just relentless. Like, what do you think? What do you want to do with this? And then finally I was like, I don't actually know if I even know what I, Jordan Hill, think about this. I could tell you what like Matt Chandler said about this, what John Piper says about this, but what do I actually think about it?
So he was challenging like how it actually applies. He's personalizing it.
Absolutely.
And you were more in it for, well, this is what it says. And he's like, that's great. But for you, like, what's the change for you? Kind of a thing. Is that what you mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so I think most men just aren't themselves going to the Word, which then makes them not confident enough to lead their family in it or to share it with a coworker or a friend, because you're trying to just like go quickly to, hey, let me send you this thing that some other guy who has spent time with the Lord has said. And that's great and all, but that person's never met Tim Keller. They're not sitting next to him. They know you, Chris. And so like they've seen you and how you've lived out your life, so that they actually would rather hear from you.
It's so crazy because there are thousands of other resources, and where there's one simple book we're talking about here. Why do you think that's such a barrier for the average guy just to be like, you know, we can tell a guy right now that truth, and he's like, well, yeah, I know. And it's like, well, then read it. You know, like, why do you think that's such a hard thing?
I think it's because it is a hard book. Like it's a difficult book to understand. But it's not impossible. And I actually think that goes into the second resource that people don't use. We don't actually like bring in other people with us into digging into God's Word and digging into our lives. I think we're so quick to look at people, and we should. They're great. Like, what are these other experts out there, and what are they doing? Instead of like, what does my buddy Mike have to say about how does he see me live this out? And bring in just like a close group of friends, inviting them into your life to do it. So even with the Word, it's like, how do I just bring you in on it? And it's like, hey, what do you also see in this? Or go into some other people and saying, hey, I'm seeing you live this out and you're really good at this. Like, just humbling yourself to go, can you teach me? There's something happens, I think, when we get older, that we stop going to other people and saying, do you mind teaching me? Very rarely do people just out there, they're looking around going, hey, I'm wondering, can I come alongside this guy and mentor you, disciple you, teach you? It usually is 90% of the time, it really has to be the other way around. It's reaching out to you, Chris, and be like, hey, I see this in you. Will you please help me do this?
Yeah. I mean, that is a difference maker there, to have somebody who's able to observe, listen to you, be able to come back with what the Word says. And then, you know, if you're doing that, you know, from a one-on-one mentor relationship, that's fantastic. But you've also talked about the value of having some good friends around you.
And I think
able to do
that takes you saying, I'm not the expert.
Exactly. Which is hard for men.
It's humbling.
It's humbling.
Right.
It's humbling.
Exactly. For that, man.
Right. Exactly. I'm not the expert in this.
Yeah.
Will you please help me?
Yep.
And I think like some things here that I've tried to just put in some of the culture of the men. It's like we've got other experts with various things. Let's reach out and ask them and pull them in. You know, I mean, even just like a little things like Chris, I know you're great at writing. You've got great insights.
Thank
Hey,
you.
Chris, will you help? I want to write something here. Will you help me do that?
Yeah. Yep.
I feel like more and more of our guys are doing, which connects us more because like, oh, wow, I get to actually help do this. And it's something that I love to do. And from there, I get to learn and grow. And,
Yep.
But I think it first just starts with admitting I'm not an expert in everything.
What's crazy because the irony is then that means then most men who don't do these things, which I'm assuming you would kind of affirm this means that the average guy is probably really isolated.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like you said, lone wolf by himself. And something like the Bible is going to be the last thing that the guy is going to get to, probably from consuming thousands of other kinds of content. And I also wonder what the role is of, I don't know, spiritual warfare, the enemy trying to, because what you're saying, it doesn't come across so complicated, not this deep professor expert level things, pretty basic on you can get into God's word and you can grab a friend. And it sounds so basic, but it seems impossible for us to do.
It seems like an uphill climb.
I mean, a massive,
Right.
and it must be because, you go talk to, just go ask any friend, and it seems like that's a challenge.
Right.
So I just wonder also, does the enemy have us just with this little facade in front of us of, well, I'm consuming content, so I'm good. Or I see social media contacts, or I listen to these shows, or I even listen to a podcast. So I have my friends, and it's like just enough where we think we're like kind of eking by, but in reality, we're missing the main thing. Like we're doing all these check boxes. Yeah. So I'm listening to this thing, so I got my community. Or I read this, or I heard this one verse or whatever, so I got my Bible. But we're totally missing it at the same time. Yeah.
It's kind of like, I love the comedian Nate Bargatze.
Yeah.
Same.
I can tell you a lot about him. I could tell you some stuff that you'll think like, oh man, you really know this guy. And it's like, you know what? I kind of do. And you know what? He doesn't know me at all. He would not recognize me. If I said, hey, what's up, Nate? And I saw him in person, he seems like a nice guy. He might give me a head nod, but it's not like he's like, hey, what's up, buddy? Like, not at all.
Yeah.
And I worry for men, especially in our area. We know potentially a lot about Jesus and what does it look like, but we don't actually know him, and we haven't spent time with him. And then vice versa, he didn't know us. And that's terrifying.
It's sobering.
Right. That is very sobering.
So you got to just humble yourself and go, oh, I'm just going to spend time with them. And when you start, you're not going to know it all. Like you just aren't. And that's okay. But the more you do it and stick with it, the more you'll start to see different things and how they come in. It's like, it's so simple. But I used to say this to my baseball players. It's like the best hitters hit all the time. The best guys the best hitters, they just hit all the time. The best guys with the glove, infield work, they take 1,000 ground balls all the time.
Over and
it's
over
the same thing.
Again.
Steph Curry is the best shooter because he shoots all the time. And there's this weird thing, I think, when we get older, that we just assume we're supposed to be great the very first time that we do something. And then when we're not, it's a check on our pride. And then so now I'm just not even going to.
Well, I think it's cultural too, right? Because the stories we hear are all these greats. And you don't always hear of like the common man, or it's not as attractive to talk about that in news articles or something like that. So then the average guy out there is like, well, great. I'm not this athlete at 18 years old making $30 million. So
Bill woke up
my
at
life
6
must be.
And he got in a car and he drove to work.
Yes.
And that's just not compelling, right?
Yes.
Or at least we tell ourselves.
What would you say? What would you say to a guy that could be listening right now and goes, okay, Jordan, that's great. I need to spend time. Like I hear what you're saying, but I don't know what that means. I don't know what to do. Like what would just be a basic thing? You're sitting in front of a guy right now.
Yeah. So the first thing I would tell the guy is, and again, I'm not meaning this facetiously or like as a plug for 121, but like you need to be connected into a local church. I actually think that's a big issue. Is like we got a lot of people that are just on the peripherals, but you're not actually connected into a local body. So start there, get connected into a local church, and then from there, ask a guy to meet up with you, like we've talked about, and let's talk about the word from there. And then just open it up. To me, it's never a bad idea to just start in Genesis and just read. Just read. Start in Genesis and then keep on going from there. And absolutely, it's going to get a little confusing there for a little bit, and that's fine.
That's okay.
Keep reading.
Power on through.
Power through, because it actually will start to almost unfold a bit and make a little bit more sense. Once you kind of work your way through, you're like, oh, I see this. And then you just start following all these different, it's weird. It's like sometimes God just takes you on these different entrails and these different, just almost like rabbit holes that you're just so surprised.
Yeah.
Like the other day, I was in Jude, and all of a sudden I just hung out on a word. Then God took me to Jeremiah from there, because just this word was repeated there. And then all of a sudden I just start getting so convicted over just my own sin. Had no plans on that, but that was just what God wanted me to do.
Yeah.
And just from a pure Bible study standpoint, you'll never be off if you're just saying, hey, what does this say about Jesus?
Yeah.
Like you'll never get too far off.
Sure.
Like you'll never just get out of bounds with which is like, what does this say about Jesus? And just stick on that.
Yeah. That's good. Chris, how have you encouraged a guy to get started like that?
To get started.
Yeah.
To actually, and I love what Jordan says there. Yeah. If you're going to start somewhere, it doesn't have to be in Genesis.
Sure.
It can be just reading the gospel of John.
Yeah.
Going through and just getting an understanding of who Jesus is and why he came. And then, go back and you can fill it in later, kind of like the Lord of the Rings style there, where you get the full story and then you have to go back with the Hobbit. So, there's, I would just say get started.
Yeah. Yeah, that's been my similar encouragement, especially in local church, because I had some rough experiences when I was right before I was a Christian on some local church things, but it was really just because of me and my perception of what was going on there, where I think some people have some bad experiences or they hear about bad experiences. And I think our encouragement, I mean, y'all can check me here, but I feel like our encouragement would be, man, we're sorry for what you've experienced. It doesn't necessarily mean it defines Christianity or the church as a whole, but that doesn't mean you should also write it off, Absolutely. And then sometimes I do think people, I watch something online, so is my checkbox of church. And it's like, well, it's going to be it's going to be the quantity over quality kind of a thing where it is worth it. It's worth it to go experience being a part of what real community is. And the thing is, we're lacking in it. We're going to be honest. I think a lot of guys are lonely, but also the average guy is never going to come out and say, I'm lonely. I mean, never going to say that. That's the last thing any of us would ever say. But regardless, in your mind right now, you know if you are or not, And
I think you got to then do something with that.
Yeah.
Like, how do you then just reach out to somebody and then just said, look, let's just meet up for coffee or breakfast or lunch or go to Chili's. And we're
it's the average place to be.
Yes.
And let's just have some
floating ribs.
Let's have some floating ribs with some skillet queso. And then let's just talk and dig in. And if you're an introvert, like, just still do it. Just try to just bust through on somebody. And that's also I think this is a good word, that there are introverts out there. And so if you are a guy who's an extrovert, be looking for the guy who's not actually doing that.
Yeah.
I think God's given us that purpose. If you are an extrovert, to be looking on the fringes and on the horizon to pull somebody in. That's what Jesus himself did. And God put you there to be that guy, to reach that guy. So go do it.
Yeah. It's worth it for that. What have you learned? You said since 2018 coming on staff. So we're 6 years in and we're in 2024. It's not like the year 2000 or the 90s or something like that.
Or I don't know about y'all. Somebody said this the other day, and I thought this was so spot on.
Yeah.
They said it feels like 2019 was last year. And that's so that is so does it not?
Yeah.
It literally feels like 2019 was last year. We're in 2024, but it does.
That's what COVID has done to all
That's
of
what
us.
I'm saying.
Yes.
That's the COVID effect.
Yeah, pretty much every single timeline now is what's before COVID and then what was after COVID on everything. Everyone knows where they were. What do you think are some newer, there's different strategies out there.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not talking about changing any principles of the Bible. Those are in the Bible. We can kind of study those, but the methods are going to be different.
Mm-hmm.
It's different from the 1800s to now.
Mm-hmm.
But even over the last, call it 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
What are there any examples you've learned on? I've kind of see some good things work out this way, but not so much anymore. It's kind of more like this from a method. Like, what are some new strategies or new things you've noticed, like culturally with guys?
I think, and of course, we need to be upbeat and there is joy with the Lord. I think people are kind of getting away. We're a little tired of just kind of everything's always up and bright and big. And I think people are, I think there's just been so much noise here recently that people are actually looking for just a little bit more. Humility is not the right word.
Do you mean big like it's exciting and it's amazing? Like, you mean like that kind of big? Or
yeah,
what do you mean?
I think the church, not to be like one of those guys that's like the church, but
yeah, you just said that though.
Exactly
okay.
right.
Yeah.
But I think we got into this place where it was just like everything is a big, massive event. And I'm not saying like let's not be excited.
Sure.
Coach used to say, "Hey, the big time's where you're at," and I fully believe that.
Yeah.
But I think people are just looking for just a little bit more serious, a little bit more,
maybe more real,
depth.
like
I think
authentic.
I think a little authentic too.
I could see it being maybe authenticity. Like they're just like, this isn't real life. This isn't my real life, or something like that. Is that what you mean?
And I think we've just been through so much here in the last few years. I think people are just looking for a place that you can just kind of come be. And so just a little bit more, like even some of the song lyrics, like I think people are looking at just even like a little bit more depth, because I think we've kind of been in this position where you're like, okay, wait, what does that even mean? Like, I know I just said that and just saying it, but like, what does it even mean?
Yeah.
And then, so I think people are just looking for a little bit more realness, a little bit more depth. I also think people now today are looking for not necessarily what maybe kind of like I said, not what does this expert say, but like, hey, can someone sit down with me and show me what is the right thing? So for example, when so I've got 2 kids. Knox, my son, was born in 2020, and then my daughter Piper was born. She'll be 2 in like a week.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Piper.
Yeah. We know you're listening.
Love you, baby.
Yeah.
Go to sleep because it's your bedtime. But there was so many articles for Ashley and I to read, and there were so many parenting podcasts, and there's so many things. Everything from and my wife, she's kind of like me, but Ashley really like dug in, and she read everything from if you hug your kid once when they cry, they're never going to leave the house, to if you let them cry if you even let them cry for a minute, they will unequivocally become a serial killer.
Yeah.
And you're just like, what am I going to do?
Oh, yeah.
And there's so much content and there's so much of that out there. And there's just so much, just like, I don't even know what to do.
Yeah.
So finally, I'll never forget, Ashley and I, we were driving. We were going to kind of this conference thing. And I said, that's it. No more resources. No more looking at the people on Instagram. Like, no more of this. We're just going to talk to somebody we know and trust. And so then we reached out to a lady a woman in our church who's done that a lot. And that has just been so helpful. So I think people now actually want to hear from people they know.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, how do you handle your finances?
Yeah.
Hey, what do y'all do in marriage conflict? And I see it in you, because I think we've seen, unfortunately, so many people on platforms fall. I mean, geez, we just kind of we had another one like this last week, and it's just like, it all is like, is everything just a facade.
Yeah.
And so who is the person that I know and I see him all the time and that I can also ask questions and be like, what do you mean by that? What did you do in this situation? And I can trust you. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, I
I
think people are starving for that now.
Yeah. To know and trust.
Right.
Like to go to know and
trust
yeah.
and be able to see, hear, I mean, everything that, a good relationship has, right?
That's good. I have actually gotten that feedback specifically over the past 6 months or so is just, can you just point me to like a real human, basically instead of a resource or an article, something like that. I guess we're just over, what is that? Is it the paradox of choice? If you just having too many choices or over the paralysis of analysis. There's all these different terms for it, but there's too much. There's too many.
There's
things.
too much. And even, it's probably a little hyperbolic, but it's like, think about, for example, customer service now. Like I had to call my credit card company the other day.
The terrible customer service that's
and
out
no
there?
one cares.
Yeah.
No one cares. It's like, we know there's nothing you can do about it. Guess what? We don't care. And it's like, no, that's our life now. No one actually has. It's so weird. You go to like a restaurant and somebody says, "Hey, have a great day," and you're like, "That's the nicest person ever."
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, Joelle was at Walmart not too long ago, and their system was down, and they were like, "Well, we're sorry, our system is down," and she was like, "Well, does that mean do I pick it up now or later? Do you know what's going to be up?" And they're like, "It's down," and said nothing.
Right,
like, stone face. Kind of looking at her like, why would you ask me that? And she's like, I'm the customer. Like, what do you mean? Aren't you the expert? Aren't you supposed to know?
But the system's down.
But they're like, but the system's down. So have a good day. It's just like,
but we notice whenever we do see great customer service, or at least just some care out there. Just
basic care,
basic human care.
That's my point.
Yeah.
And like even people now, and I think we got to be careful, especially with AI. Let's use AI for what it's worth.
Sure.
But I think people are tired of getting like just, I'm on a text chain and sure I got this update, but it's like I actually want to talk to a human.
Oh, 100%.
And I'm a little sick of just getting like text invites, and no one reads their emails pretty much anymore. I don't know if y'all have noticed that.
Oh yeah.
And sure, we're getting from a church that we're getting really good at being real fast and efficient on that way. But if we're not careful, we'll miss that human to human.
Yeah, we're going to take the human out of it.
Oh,
right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Any customer service, I'm always like agent, person.
Yes.
Like immediately.
Right.
They're fast.
Go through 30 pop-ups. You're like, agent now, agent, please.
Right.
All that just to get to a real person.
I even press random numbers.
Just if you're on the phone,
totally.
just hit zero over and over again.
And it takes you 20 minutes to get somebody.
Oh, yeah.
And do they care? No,
they do not care.
What are you going to do? Leave us?
The first person that goes, hey, can I help you? You're like, this is so nice. Thank you.
Right.
You actually want to help
Absolutely.
me. Oh, yeah. For sure.
Okay, so knowing that you have men's ministry as your main focus here, we also know that there's women who are tuning in who might want to also hear about what is encouraging you about men's ministry going forward, and then of course it's not just about men; it's about who their life impacts as well.
Yeah.
And so including wives, girlfriends, daughters. What can you tell us about that as far as what you're excited about, what you're seeing, maybe some trends that you're seeing out there?
That's a great question. One of the things last night,
dynamite question,
we
Chris,
had,
thank you. You said great question. Dynamite question.
I said great. I didn't say dynamite. I'm just kidding.
Let's back off here.
Sorry, too much.
Settle down a bit.
I mean, great. I'm sorry. He's learning.
Chris knows I'm joking.
Learning.
I love him. That's our relationship. For example, last night we had, so we do a summer Bible study. We're going through the book of Isaiah. And it's very funny. When we were playing in this, we absolutely had the conversation of, is anyone going to show up and are they actually going to be interested in studying Isaiah? And you know what? We have had, this is the highest numbers we've ever had.
Wow.
And it's really neat because then we've done a thing where we've split between men and women. And at first we're like, okay, well, with this amount of people that we had, there basically going to be like 10 guys that come to it. And we had to keep adding chairs.
Wow.
So it wasn't just like, it was like a 70-30 split. Like it really was about like a 55.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we were right there, which was really incredible.
Yeah.
So I think people are just hungry for that.
Yeah, what is it? Why do you I would have personally thought, and this sounds bad. I mean, I'm obviously hoping and you want people to show up.
Yeah.
But there's a part of me that I'm really surprised how many
100%.
people. So
100%.
why? So I mean, I don't want to say why are we surprised. What do you think is the draw? Because the reality is a lot of people are participating in this.
Yeah.
So why?
I think at 121 in particular, I think we've been consistently doing this, and I think we're getting better at it every year. I think people are interested, and they're saying, you know what? I've never studied the book of Isaiah before. I'd like to dig in on it. I'd like to just say, hey, this is something I've always just kind of danced around it, or maybe we just read like 2 big chapters out of it or 2 verses out of it.
Yeah.
I want to actually know it.
Wow.
And then I think people are loving their community, and so they're doing it together. I think God here has particularly gifted us with some very talented women who can just teach God's word and bring phenomenal insights. So I love seeing that.
Yeah.
And people are hungry to just learn, which is really neat. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited about the just in ministry in general, the hunger, the desire for older to pour back into younger. I think there's been a really cool resurgence of people not just saying, well, these young people, they just don't know anything and blah, blah,
these young youths, these youths of America. Young whippersnappers.
I'll take this as the opportunity to just say, I'm younger than you 2 guys in here. So that's me in particular.
Yeah. We're going here. Well, actually, me and you are younger than co-host Chris.
Oh, so. He went there, Chris.
You went there.
Well,
you just hopped over
my loyalty. My loyalty
just with the wind. Doubles on one. Okay, all right.
My loyalty was there for 2 seconds.
But I'm seeing a lot of just like, hey, I want to actually pour into some younger, which I think is pretty neat. And then we're seeing God do some pretty incredible stuff across the nations. He really is moving globally.
Yeah.
And
it's awesome.
I think that's exciting. It's exciting to be a part of it. It's exciting to see God bring the nations to us in particular. And then also just the hunger that's out there. I mean, we see people that are coming to Christ in the thousands in Brazil, in the Middle East, in Southeast Asia. And I mean, God's moving.
Yeah.
It can seem pretty bleak here, and I don't think it is. Sure, it's getting darker in some ways, but it's also getting brighter in many ways.
Yeah.
And so that's pretty much what I think. That's what I'm really excited about.
Yeah, that's a lot to be excited about there.
And the fact that you're younger than both of us, I mean, it's
100%.
very exciting.
So
for someone who's the youngest in the room, you said the word neat a lot. That normally, I feel like the average age is maybe 80 people who would say neat, but you chose to say that multiple times.
I think it's probably because it's another way for me to just sneak this. It was my birthday yesterday.
It was your birthday yesterday.
So that was just a way for me to sneak that in there.
Neat is your way to sneak in.
That's what happens when you turn a year older. All of a sudden you start saying things like neat.
You go straight to neat. Oh, well, this is the part in the interview that we're going to transition now.
Nice.
Thank you for sharing all that too.
Yeah. Thank you.
This is the lightning round.
Let's go.
The lightning round.
Chris, we are going to alternate.
Light the lamp.
We're going to alternate these questions. Listen, you cannot overthink these.
Not at all.
If you take too long, you are disqualified. Your interview will be deleted from this podcast.
This is
very excited about
this. This is going to be like improv games, just first reaction.
Make sure that you are
feeling strong, my friend.
Feeling strong for this situation.
We have a lot of yes
feeling
and
just a
around
little
here.
bit older
Lots
today,
of things.
Are you feeling strong?
He's saying words like neat. I think he's ready. Okay, you start us off.
I will start us off.
Here we go.
Jordan, this is the dessert lightning round.
Let's do it.
Dessert lightning round.
You can see any music artist in concert. Who do you pick?
Dave Matthews Band. That's my favorite.
East Coast or West Coast?
East Coast.
Mountains or beach?
Beach.
Motorcycle or jet ski?
Jet ski, 100%.
Greatest sport team ever assembled?
I'm going to say the 2010 Southern Arkansas Mule Riders. That was my team.
Boo. Best pizza in Dallas-Fort Worth?
Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
My wife's sourdough pizza that she makes.
Okay. This guy.
Did you hear that, honey? Love you.
Okay, next one.
I will say also Taverna Rosso is really good.
Okay, you just threw it down.
You spend a lot of time in coffee shops, I would imagine, in your role. So,
I do.
best coffee shop in town?
I'm not a coffee connoisseur. However, I've got a great story with a good coffee shop in Redefined in Grapevine that I'll share one time. So I'll say Redefined because I helped start them.
Lightning round continuing. Calm down. Dogs or cats?
Dogs all day.
Thank you.
Running or lifting?
Lifting.
If you were a superhero, who would you be?
Batman.
If someone were to narrate your life story, the story of Jordan Hill, who would it be?
Matthew McConaughey.
And then here we go. Last question. One of your favorite comedians.
We said Nate Bargatze all the way. Fun fact, actually, I really love comedians. I love learning that process too. Nate Bargatze's up there. John Mulaney's a great one.
Oh, yeah. Pick one. Pick one. You have to only pick one.
Probably then John Mulaney.
John Mulaney.
All
okay.
right, there we go.
You are off the hot seat.
The lightning
Jordan
round.
Hill.
I love that. We
The lightning round has
rolling.
complete. How do you think he did?
I think he was formidable.
Let's review him.
Formidable. Yes. No, I think the Dave Matthews, that I'm a fan as well. So, yeah, we're really good on that. What about you, Mike?
What, on the lightning round questions? I think the lightning round questions are reserved for our guests. Are you wanting to do double lightning round? Are you?
It's like a thunderstorm.
It's just going to be a repeat of a lot of
the thunderstorm.
Are you putting me on the lightning round?
Do you want to be on the lightning round?
I think we should reserve my lightning round for later.
Let's reserve.
Do it now.
Let's reserve. This is about Jordan. This is about the birthday boy.
Let's give each other one question.
One question.
To be fair, for Jordan's birthday.
Okay, just any one.
Running or lifting for you?
Neither. No. I would say lifting.
Give me an easy question. Go.
Okay, an easy question would be, if someone were to narrate your life story, who would it be?
Oh, clearly Morgan Freeman, since we know him in person. So thank you, Morgan Freeman. Whoa, Morgan! Thanks for stepping in.
Out of the North Richmond Hills.
Oh man, Morgan, why don't you see us out? Thank Jordan for us. Oh, you're zero.
Jordan Hill, thank you for being here. Thank you for being not quite there.
What an honor! What an honor!
Thanks so much for joining us. Please consider rating and reviewing our podcast and hitting subscribe on whichever platform you prefer. Remember to keep moving forward because we're not quite there.